They're like, of all the places in the world, why Russia? Not so long ago, and it was talking about like the most racist places on earth, and I think Russia was number one. And then when I actually came here, they were like, oh my gosh, you're gonna die, you're gonna die, you're gonna die.
Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel, Afro-Lev, roaring truths to preserve your pretty voice. And today we have a new guest. Would you please introduce yourself?
All right, I am Angelique Jackson. I'm from Jamaica. I'm very old. No, I look very young.
That's such an intro. Okay.
I'm a teacher here,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm also a singer. So.
Oh, nice. What genre do you perform?
I perform a lot of genres, from reggae to Afro-American pop to classical opera.
Opera?
Yeah, to jazz.
Wow, okay.
To lounge. Yeah, I do a lot of music.
Nice. And what brought you to Russia?
A scholarship.
It's always a scholarship.
Is it always? Really?
I mean.
Yeah, no, I got a scholarship to study music here. So that's what I came here to study.
Okay.
And I teach and I study. Well, I used to study and I teach and I do music now.
Okay, so can you tell me, how did it feel when you first moved to Russia? Or how has your experience been?
My experience has been pretty much a growth of better and better and better. I never really experienced a lot of bad here. I'm actually like a very strong advocate for like my family members and my friends to like visit, because I really feel like it's a really nice place.
Yeah.
I think, being from the West, Russia gets a lot of flack that I haven't experienced. So I feel like my experience has been good, and the few bad, everywhere.
Oh yeah, like everywhere in the world.
Exactly. You will experience that kind of thing everywhere, from like maybe 0.5%, not even 1%, like 0.5%. But the rest of it has been good. A lot of people ask about, the cold and stuff, and then I like the cold. So
you like the cold?
Yeah. It's weird.
You're the first foreigner.
I have a love-hate relationship with the cold. I have a love-hate relationship with the cold. Like if I'm outside and it's really cold, I don't want to be outside. Yeah. But I like when it's cold outside.
Okay, so are you a fan of the snow, or are you like me, the type of person that just like looks through the windows like beautiful, but doesn't want to go outside?
I like the snow when it's snowing.
Not when it's settled.
Not when it's settled, no. And I also have, this, I don't know, they call it gritting of the teeth.
Yeah.
When you hear like a certain sound.
Yeah.
I have that thing when you walk on crunchy snow. I don't like crunchy, I like fluffy snow.
Does it irk you? Like you're like,
yeah, it's like, I don't, that sound, yeah, no, yeah.
This is like me when people chew. So I can relate to that. It irks me. It does. But yeah, you're saying that you haven't experienced some of the things that the West talks about. What are those things that they talk about?
I feel like I attempted to watch a YouTube video not so long ago, and it was talking about like the most racist places on earth, and I think Russia was number one.
Russia was
was number one on the list. I think it was either Russia or China was number one. And personally, I haven't had that experience. I feel like everywhere I've been here, and I've been to different cities in Russia, and I haven't experienced that overt racism. I've experienced prejudice, but it's not like they don't like you because you're black. They just don't like you maybe because you don't speak the language and they don't want to.
Yeah, like every place, even my country. Yeah.
Really? Yeah, in Jamaica,
they're welcoming, but
in Jamaica we're very, very welcoming. In Jamaica we're very welcoming, but here it's kind of like, why are you here if you don't speak the language? Kind of, you get that feeling of, but it's not because of your race. It's just because they don't have the patience to deal with you at that moment.
Yeah.
And then, like, as a human being, you can understand, like, right now I don't feel like dating with you. Yeah. But that's one thing. Another thing is, I've never seen a bear here.
I've never seen a bear in general. Maybe in a zoo, but that doesn't count, does it?
Exactly, it doesn't count. So
So-
I've never seen a bear here, and I was expecting to see bears.
What, like
walking
roaming
on
the streets?
Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry for the
I
disappointment.
personally didn't expect it, but
Okay.
everybody like back home, they're like, "Have you seen a bear walking on the streets yet?" And I'm like, "No, that's not a thing. It's not a thing."
But how's your family feel like that you moved to Russia? Were they like, "Oh my God, what are you doing?" Or were they just?
Yeah. Well, the thing is, before I moved here, I'd been talking for a long time. I'm gonna move to Russia. I'm gonna move to Russia, and they're like, of all the places in the world, why Russia? I'm like, I don't know, just feel like it, okay? I'm gonna move to Russia. And then when I finally decided, okay, I'm gonna move to Russia, they were like, are you really gonna move to Russia? And then when I actually came here, they were like, oh my gosh, you're gonna die, you're gonna die, you're gonna die. And now they're all like, I wanna come there, I wanna come there. I'm like, Like, even with everything, like with COVID and everything going on, like my family members, they were really scared, I guess is a word. But
that you'd freeze to death, or
no, like with everything happening.
Oh, I didn't hear properly. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. They, were very concerned. I mean, like,
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, my family too.
everything,
Yeah.
they were very concerned. But then I would like show them, like,
I don't know.
I call them, walk on the street, and like everything is absolutely perfect here. Like, I feel like you guys have more of a, I don't know. There's something wrong with where you are more than me.
You're pretty safe. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, my sister came to visit from England, and she's like, I want to go back. Like, all her friends are like, I want to go there. Yeah.
Yeah, I get it. It's like when you have different opinions, the media, it's very difficult to see another angle when you haven't seen it with your own eyes.
Yeah. And a lot of people that I know, they have like these prejudices. Again, they don't know that they only see what the media poses,
Of course.
proposes to them. So for me, it's more like when I'm talking to my family and my friends, and like if I post like my music and stuff, I don't really post a lot on social media, but when I do post, they're like, wow, like, life looks very interesting, or I'll be walking on the street with my camera talking to my family and friends, and they'll see like outside, and they get a different opinion. So I feel like that is missing for a lot of people, like not living inside of Russia. They don't really get to see that side, or they're not looking for that side.
Of course. But are there any hardships that you have endured?
Yeah, I think the hardest thing is finding a place to stay as a Black person.
I've heard about this one, yeah.
Yeah. The hardest thing is finding a place to stay as a Black person, for a lot of reasons.
Namely?
I think a lot of reasons have been because, like, a lot of Africans come here, and then they're not able to like afford a place of their own, so they all like will
they
live together
yeah.
in a place. And I come from a country I come from a place where I'm used to a lot of space. So
yes,
when I look for an apartment, I want an apartment that is like 2 rooms or more. And they're like, why do you need like such a big apartment? They're happy that I'm from a place where, like somewhere else other than where they're thinking about, but then they're like, why do you need such a big place?
Yeah.
And like I try to explain to them that, like, this is just the culture that I'm from. I'm used to having space. Like, I live with my daughter, and I need a room for me, I need a room for my daughter, and I need a room for if people come to my house. I will not entertain people in her room or my room. There has to be a room.
That's just awkward. I mean, yeah.
But for them, it's normal, like they turn their beds into a sofa, and, that's enough for them. For me, it's like my culture is like where I sleep is different from where I entertain, because I had, when I was in university, my friends came over and they sat on my bed. And then I had bed bugs.
It's like an ick for me.
And then I had bed bugs. So that for me is like,
Christ.
it just like cemented it in. It's like, no, like I have a place where I sleep. I have a place where if people come to my house, or even if like I want to talk with my daughter, we'll sit. We have what is called like a living room.
Yeah.
So she has her room, I have my room, and there's a living room where we come and we talk and sit and play, and then when you're done, you go to your room and you sleep. You know? So I feel like a lot of people, they're skeptical because again, there are people who will rent an apartment and they're not allowed to sublet, and they do sublet, so they feel like if you want something that's big, then you're gonna pack a whole lot of people in there, which is not allowed. Apart from that, they're just really not interested in having Black people, sad to say, rent Black people, and also because some places they don't like registering foreigners. Some people.
Oh yes, that's the same thing in China. When I was in China, you need to have your hotel registered to house foreigners. It's an actual thing,
Right. So so I feel like that's like the biggest hardship that I've faced here. Like, is finding a place to stay where it's legal and safe, and like I've rented places before where people have been just crazy. But I mean, if I can, I will talk about it. I rented one apartment, and the lady, she seemed very nice at first, and then when I moved in, like she started saying that we weren't allowed to do this, we weren't allowed to do that.
Oh yeah, you always have the landlord that's a little bit annoying.
And then there was another lady who like I rented from, but she wasn't here, so she had an agent, and the agent wanted to come by like every other week to check. And I'm like, what are you checking? Like when I moved in, I literally put my stuff down and I left the country because I performed different places, so I left the country. Then when I came back, I had work, I had shows still in Moscow, so like I was hardly home. I was home maybe like 5% of the time. And then she came back and she's like, why are your things still in boxes? I'm like, how is that your problem?
Is that your businesswoman?
She's like, well, I need to send videos to the owner and it needs to look like somebody lives here. I'm like, why is that anybody's business or anybody's problem? Are you getting your rent? Am I paying the light on time? Like, why do you need videos? Like, I'm not comfortable with, you taking videos of my stuff. Oh, but and then she's like, oh, that's not what I mean. I'm like, I don't care what you mean. You understand what I mean? Like, I understand that you want it to seem like someone lives here. But at the end of the day, like, I rented this place and I need time to do what I need to do. All my things are here and clearly they are still in boxes.
Yeah.
Like, clearly I have not unpacked anything because I haven't got the time. You're telling me that this person needs to see that this, that, and the third. Like, if the place is dirty and you see, like, stuff all over the place, I can understand that. But my things are clearly still in boxes.
Yeah. I feel like landlords in general, you have, even back home, you have these landlords that are, like, way too involved. And just like, I'm paying rent, right? Like, you don't have to be here every single second. So I also see these things back home. Especially like when the landlord is just like so nervous that something will break, or like they're like, oh no, is this in the right place? It's like, chill.
Like I'm making the space my own. You don't live here. How you had it before is not how I'm going to want it, because I live here now.
Actually,
but I think I was lucky. Like the apartment that I'm at now, I like it. My landlord is really nice. A bit lackadaisical, but really nice. Yeah.
And what about the lifestyle? How would you compare it to Jamaica?
I don't know.
What's really I mean, of course it's different, but I mean, like...
it's different, but like, I'm a very boring person in general.
Okay. Because, yes, my idea is like, all my friends from Jamaica tell me like, oh man, it's not as fun. I can't do this, Is it like, okay?
I think the thing that is different here than in Jamaica, like I said, we have like a lot of space.
Yeah.
So for me, I was just talking to somebody about this yesterday, actually. My idea of fun is going to my backyard with my family and turning on some music and acting a fool. Like dance.
That's in my culture
make
too.
fun of your family. Like a lot of Jamaicans, they like going out. They like going to parties. But me personally, I like staying home, and I like my family. You know, so the only thing here is that you can do that to a point. Because it's an apartment, it's not a house.
Exactly.
So you have to turn off. I think you have to turn off your music by 10 o'clock on a weekday.
Oh yeah.
And on a weekend, I think you have to turn off your music by 12 or something like that. So you're not able to do that like for the whole night. And if you have like vindictive neighbors, they will call the police and say, "Oh yeah,
that happens. That happens. Yes.
Thank God I haven't had neighbors like that, but then again, I don't really make noise that much at home either. But yeah, I think that's like the only thing. Plus, people live far away as well. It's like I live in the center. Most of my friends live like south. I used to live in New Gazabad, so like that area too. Yeah.
Yeah. So yes, it's one of those things like, but the lifestyle isn't that different opposed to that, or I mean, generally like the food and stuff. How do you feel? I'm sure the Jamaican food is incredible.
Yeah.
Just the jerk chicken, everything. Yes. Yeah.
All the seasonings. Yeah. No. The food is different. The lifestyle is a lot different. Like at home, like eating out. Is like a huge thing. Like even going to KFC or Burger King, it's like once in a while kind of thing. Like, okay, we try to eat out. Like we have a culture, like we have a food culture of like specific meals on specific days. And Friday is normally the day when you eat out.
I see. So
like, and a lot of people budget for that. If they're gonna like go to KFC, it's a really huge thing. Like people like get KFC for their birthdays. Yeah.
Pretty similar to back home too. Yeah, eating out is like it's like a luxury. Like, I'm eating out. Oh my God, you're eating out. Yeah. You know, but here it's just like an everyday thing.
It's not exactly. Or you plan like once a month or something.
Yeah. I want to eat a KFC. It's too expensive. Relax.
Exactly.
So.
Oh, it's my birthday. Okay, I'll bring you some KFC kind of thing. But yeah, like I think like that's the difference here. Like if you don't feel like cooking, 99% of the time, like eating out 2 or 3 times a week is gonna be probably the same as if you're like buying good food.
Exactly. Yeah.
To cook at home and eat out is pretty much similar, the same.
I see. What about? Oh, you had something else?
No.
Okay, sorry. I thought I interrupted you.
No, don't worry.
Okay. What about being a student in Russia? How was that?
I think that was difficult for me, but I think difficult for different reasons than it would be difficult for other people.
Okay.
So when I came here, I was pregnant with my daughter.
Oh, that's complicated.
Yeah, it was complicated, especially because I didn't realize I was pregnant until I got here.
That's even more complicated. Yeah. Okay.
So when I came, I was like so worried for the first couple of months because I wasn't sure if like I was allowed to be here or if I had to go back. The school that I was going to at first, they said no, it's fine, but then they tried to like kind of do some shady stuff that in retrospect I didn't realize that they were doing it, but I feel like everything happens for the greater good.
Oh, it does. There's a reason.
But then I had really incredible lecturers. They're like amazing. I came to school when I was pregnant, and I had one lecturer in particular. She was the nicest woman I've ever met in my life. She's just really awesome. She would, make sure that I'm okay for like Christmas and her birthday. She actually invited us to her house, like outside of Moscow, and like her family, they made this huge dinner, and she taught us how to make borscht, and
that's so sweet.
Really nice.
That's really sweet.
And then when I actually gave birth to my daughter, it was close to my like final exams. So I had to go to my final exams, and I had to bring my daughter with me because she was like
oh my God,
weeks old.
Yeah.
And like while I was writing my exams, my lecturer, she helped my daughter just walking around the class
so
while I was doing my exams, just walking around with my daughter. Yeah, that was really nice. Okay, I'm
I mean, that sounds so sweet. Even helped out, yeah.
No, and I feel like, like I really liked being around her, really like being with her, because a funny story, my daughter would calm down whenever she heard her voice. Like even when she's in my stomach, and like she would be like active, active, active. And I went to my lectures. Whenever like I had her that lecture, she would calm down. So like when I was in like my exams and stuff, and she was like, she would just take her, and then she would just calm down. Yeah.
Man, so it's like, is she her godmother now?
Or I wish. No. I left. I like I said, I gave birth to her like just before my final exams, and I changed universities. And then again, I know you asked me about studying here, but I have to like give all my experiences.
No, I mean, yes, true.
When I left that university, like I said, they did some shady things that were kind of shady.
Yeah.
Then I had to go to like another university, and that university had to fix like the stuff that the other university didn't do.
Oh my God.
But the Nachalnik, I don't know, rector, I don't know what's the English word for
director of studies. I don't even.
Yeah, of foreign students. He left work almost every day to go with me to fix all these things that I needed to get fixed. Like he left, like he would go with me, like he would be there. Like I had to go to court, I had to go to the police station, I had to go like different like organizations to sort out a whole lot of stuff. And he went with me for every single thing, and he was like, don't worry, everything's gonna be okay. Like I didn't understand anything. If you asked me to like repeat all of these steps, I had no idea what I did. All I know is that I needed to be there, and he knew that I needed to be there. But he just took care of everything. I did not know this man from anywhere. Like
so the kindness of his heart, he just.
Because I don't suppose he does that for everybody. I
mean, yeah, it's his job. I would hope he does that for everybody.
I don't know, because also like when like I said, I had a baby, and I had to go home and come back. And when I was going home, I was like, I'm gonna give up my scholarship because they don't have housing at my university. They don't have housing for families. Yeah. Like there are some universities that have housing for families. Like Ruden has like housing for families. They have different types of dormitories, but my university does not. And he was like, don't worry about it. I'll figure it out. I'll make sure that you have a place with your daughter. So I went. And then when I was supposed to come back, he was on vacation. And the person I spoke to, they were like, no, we don't have anywhere for you to go. You cannot bring your baby. And so I just said, well, I'm not coming. So I didn't go on the flight. And then when he came off of vacation, I mean, it's an entire, like, they have they have like at least 7 faculties. Do you understand? And he's in charge of every single student. And when he came back off vacation, he was like, why aren't you here? I'm like, because the person you left in charge said that they don't have anywhere for me to go, and I'm not gonna get on a plane and not know where I'm gonna go. And he's like, no, come, I told you everything is sorted. And when I came, I had to buy another plane ticket, but still I was like, okay, he's back, everything is sorted. When I came, everything was sorted, and I had a place to stay until I finished 6 years later.
Wow. He sounds like a guardian angel in many ways.
Well, that's the thing. Like, I feel like since I've been here, I think like that's why I remain here. Like, I feel like I've had guardian angels all throughout my stay here. And like a lot of people are like, how do you do it by yourself? And I'm like, I don't think you understand. Like, I don't feel like I've had to do anything by myself. Yes, it's just been me and my daughter, but I feel like I've been appointed people at every step that I needed to find someone to assist me. I've been able to find people to assist me, and it's just been surreal, for lack of a better word. I mean, sometimes, I do feel alone, but at the end of the day, I can't say that I've faced anything that I wasn't able to get over.
I mean, that's also pretty fascinating because you had your daughter here. Is your daughter a Russian citizen?
No, actually, they keep changing the laws, so I just have to figure out how to do that. When she was actually born, the law was that after 14, she could automatically apply for citizenship, but I think they changed that law. So now one of her parents have to be Russian in order for
I
her
saw
to
that.
get
Yes.
Yeah. So now I'm applying for like residency, and then it'll be easier for her, I guess, because she was born here. I don't know, but she's never lived anywhere except here.
It might change. It might change. We're in. I'm personally in a group, Maria Butina, and a lot of the bloggers that I actually work with. They go to these meetings, and she's always trying to change things and put things into place so that it's more comfortable for the foreigners here. So the state of Doom is always going to change regularly. Hopefully, something positive comes her way. But residency would be very convenient.
Yeah. So I hope it will change soon. If it doesn't change, I mean, there are always, ways that you can go around it. There's no problem with that. Like as long as you're living within the realms of legality,
then everything will be fine.
You can always, So for me, I don't mind, going through the process, because that's also one thing I like about here is the discipline. It's difficult sometimes to understand, to figure out how to move from left to right, but it keeps people in check. I think that's also a difference between here and Jamaica. Discipline.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I'm from a party nation as well, so I see the difference. People are sort of in line. They follow a specific thing. There's no
and
way
it doesn't
around it.
feel strained. A lot of it doesn't feel strained. It just makes life that much easier. You're not fighting to do this or that. Walk. People are like, oh, why do people have to walk on the right side? Why can't you walk on the left side? I'm like, just think of how much easier it is to just be on the right side, so people will pass you on the left side, instead of having to figure out where to go and bumping into people and being upset because someone bumped you or something. Like, everyone on your right is walking on the right, everyone on your left is walking on the left. That kind of thing. Like, if you're driving, everyone is driving in this direction.
Just follow. You'll be okay.
Yeah,
you'll be okay.
I feel like it makes things a lot,
it does.
easier. Yeah.
One thing that was also interesting, I noticed when I bumped into her at the cafe and we came here, her daughter is fluent in Russian. And that was like, whoa. Because I'm like Russian, probably, I don't know, A0. And I was like, wow. How did you just speak Russian with her the whole time? How did you make her?
I think the thing is, a lot of children who are born here, they're born to parents who speak another language. They gravitate a lot towards Russian language. When my daughter was born, she did not like English. She didn't like.
Oh, she didn't like English.
She didn't like. Wow. If I tried to speak with her in English, she'd be like. But then as soon as someone spoke to her in Russian, she was ready to pipe up. The only thing was when she, if she knew that you didn't speak Russian very well and you tried to speak to her in Russian, she wouldn't answer you. But
she's very strict, it seems.
Yeah, but if she understood that you also didn't know English very well and you tried to speak to her in English, she also wouldn't answer you. But she did prefer to speak in Russian. Even now, I'll let a little secret out. She gets in trouble at school for speaking Russian because she goes to
what, like an international school? And then...
she goes to an international school. So for most of the day they're supposed to speak in English, and then when they have Russian lessons, so they have matematika, they have окружающий мир. So half of the day is in English and half of the day lessons are in Russian. But for the entirety of the day, if you're not in a Russian lesson or you're not speaking to one of your Russian teachers, you're supposed to be speaking English. So she gets in trouble a lot of times for speaking Russian because she would rather speak Russian. I was talking to one of her teachers, and he said he was talking to another student, and the other student said, I've never heard her speak English And she's like, what? I've never heard her speak Russian.
Oh
And
my
the student was
God.
like, yeah, I've never heard that little girl speak English. Like, she's always speaking English. I'm like, yeah.
I mean, it's a superpower in today's society, being bilingual, and I think especially knowing Russian.
Yeah.
I also speak Chinese.
Oh.
And I think Chinese is also pretty good. So I mean,
Yeah.
like, she's knowing
Do
either
you
of these
teach
languages.
Chinese?
Yes, I do teach Chinese.
Because my daughter also does Chinese.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah. International.
I
here.
don't know why she chose Chinese, because I don't know any Chinese people, but that's what she wanted to study. She had options and she chose Chinese.
It's a superpower, really, because I feel like if you know Chinese, Russian, you're pretty much set.
Yeah.
There are many things that you can do in this world right now, Chinese and Russian.
Yeah.
Especially as an African.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like with the close ties with Russia, so if you want to do business with the Chinese people, I have a certain edge. So it's kind of cool that she's learning all these languages at this age. Because by the time she's like 25, 26, she will be like, I don't know, like crazy good.
Yeah.
So it's understandable.
I will not try to learn Chinese. I'm sorry. No.
Yeah, it's an acquired taste. For me, it was more of like a thing. Well, I wouldn't say I was forced to, but basically they were like, if you do not pass, you do not graduate. It's like, what do you mean? Here's the living test. If you don't pass it.
Did you study there?
Yeah, I studied in China for 4 years. I worked there for 3.
Mm-hmm.
So I was there for 7 years in total. And that was an experience.
How long have you been here?
Well, in total, I've been here for 1 year because I've been in and out. 1 year and a bit. Because my wife was my girlfriend at the time. So it was pretty much this carte blanche sort of thing. It was like, I'm going to be with you no matter what. Because it was during COVID. It's like, are you sure you're going to leave? I was like, I'll find a way. And then I came to Russia. Oh, you can only get 3 months. So it was like 3 months. We got married. And like, okay, here's a 1 year one. You just have to go out and then come back. Stuff like that. So, yeah, it's one of those things. What you do for love. Right?
I mean, I have a friend who's from Guyana.
Oh, wow. Yes.
I met her here, but she taught in China for a little bit, and her husband is Russian. So when I met her, she'd come here also to be with her husband. Yeah. And then they left, but they'll come back soon, I think.
Yeah, it's like, I guess love makes you do crazy things.
Yeah.
It was worth it, though.
I mean,
definitely. I mean, she's my wife now, so.
Exactly.
Perfect.
Exactly.
Okay. And what about okay, so clearly you have been here for a while. I'm sure you understand how the place works thoroughly now. Or are there still some things that surprise you currently?
I mean, there's always gonna be things that surprise you. So I feel like, in my own country, lived there my whole life, but there's still a lot that I don't know about my country. There's still a lot that, no matter how long you live in a place, it's kind of like living with a person. You learn new things, and plus, like, I don't know the language as well as a native speaker, so
there's always that.
There's always something you're gonna learn, but nothing stands out, to be honest. I feel like every day I appreciate a little bit more the place. Like I said, I'm a pretty boring person. I don't really go out.
Okay.
Not that it's my New Year's resolution, but this year, like,
you're gonna go out more.
Yeah, I'm trying to go out more. I might get tired because I'm tired, but yeah, I might try to go out more, kind of thing. Like,
Let's see.
People always ask me, "Well, why are you single?" And I'm like, you can't.
Personal question.
You can't meet people in your living room, and I like my living room.
It's one of those things. Yeah, when you're more of somebody that's like a homebody.
Yeah,
it makes sense. It makes sense. I'm kind of actually surprised I bumped into my wife because I was the same, especially after COVID. Why should I go outside? Everything is here.
Exactly.
Then I bumped into her before COVID, but I think she has also made me the type of person to go out a lot more. But you do go out because you're an artist. Tell me about that.
That's a misconception for a lot of people.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Like, when I tell people that I'm introverted or antisocial, they're like, how can you be introverted and antisocial and you're a performer? And I'm like, well, if I go to a show, I'm on a stage and the audience is over there. When I'm finished, they say you were nice, and I'm like, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Please come again.
Mm-hmm.
Then I go home and they go home. You know?
I see.
Yeah.
I see. Which brings me to the next question. I'm probably going to ask you one or two more. How is it being a singer in Moscow as a foreigner?
It's very good, actually. It's an exotic thing because like a lot of people want something that they don't have. Russian singers, they have a lot of Russian singers,
of course,
but they don't have like a lot of singers from different places. And I feel like Russians are very open people. They're open to other people's expressions. They're very appreciative of how you express yourself. They actually want to know how people from elsewhere express themselves.
Yeah, true. Yes.
I feel like a lot of Russians are like a lot of Americans. They don't travel outside of what they already know. So once they get a taste of that within the realms of what they can get it here, they will come and they will see it and they will appreciate it. So it's fascinating to be able to like present your art to Russian people, because like even sometimes you feel like you're not doing a very good job, but they appreciate it. The only thing is Russians and their poker face.
Oh yes.
You'll be on stage and you'll be giving it your all, and they sit and look at you like this.
I see.
And then at the end of the show, they're like, "Oh my gosh, you were so great!" I'm like, where was that when I was on the stage? Where was it? They just sit like this, and then at the end of the song, they go. And then at the end of the show, they're like, "Oh my gosh, when's your next concert?" I'm like,
it's one of those things, yeah.
But you get used to it, It's like the Russian poker.
You do. You become more Russian the more you stay here. Because every time I go and people are like, he's so mean. He doesn't smile. I'm like, why should I smile? So like it's one of these things. It's like you become more genuine living here. I feel because slightly I would say with some things, yes. Because I feel like where I'm from, we unnecessarily smile for no reason and ask you questions about things we don't really care about. Hey, how are the kids? Is your kid good? The person doesn't really care. Yeah.
Well, I feel like Russians do that too.
Oh, really? I haven't experienced this yet.
Maybe I just know the talkative one. Maybe I just know the talkative ones. But yeah, I feel like Russians, they like to ask you like a lot about yourself and about just everything. They like to ask these questions. And I feel like I'm too Russian because there are a lot of times I'm like just there, and like they're like, why? Like I actually had to do a recording not so long ago, and I went and I thought I was smiling, like not, but I thought I was like pleasant, and then the lady was like, "Why are you so sour?" I'm like, "Excuse me?"
Yeah.
She's like, "What's wrong with you?" I'm like, "There's nothing wrong with me." She's like, "Oh, you just tired?" I'm like, "Clearly, it's 9:00 in the night. I am tired, but I didn't think that, like my face was, I thought I was just there." She's like, why are you so?
Yeah.
I'm like, "I'm not so." And then that's the thing, like, she didn't mean it in an offensive way. So I feel like you have to actually understand, like, Russian humor per se, or else you will get offended.
Yeah, it's true. It's the poker face. It's the face that you sort of adapt to. You also take it for yourself, and you start doing it. And I had the same experience because I go home, my parents just like, "Did we do something to you?" Or it's like, "No, I'm just chilling.
Exactly.
I'm just relaxing." So
no, my parents would never ask me that. They all think I'm.
I just think you're just relaxed most of the time.
No, my parents, my family, they just know that. Yeah, this one, she's antisocial. She is introvert. Like my family knows that.
I see.
Once it's time to do stuff, I will do it. But other than that, I'm that.
Okay. So I have one more question for you, and I ask this to all the interviewees after the interview. If I was a foreigner, well, I am a foreigner. I don't know why I was saying if I was a foreigner. Right. Let's just say I'm not a foreigner. Right. But if I was somebody that came to you and asked you, should I move to Russia? What would you tell me? Maybe I was from your hometown.
From my home?
What would you tell me? Let's say if I was from your hometown.
If you were from my hometown and you wanted to move here, I would say definitely give it a try. I think Russia is not for everyone, but I think that it's worth a try. I feel like it's no different from anywhere else. As long as you're willing to try, then you will achieve great things here. There's nothing stopping anyone from trying. There's nothing stopping anyone from there shouldn't be anything stopping you from coming here and trying, because I feel like life here is so much easier than life elsewhere. As long as you're willing to like put in the work and understand that, you know, like there are certain social protocols that you have to follow. Yeah. It's not going to be anything that, you know, is extreme, because there's nothing extreme about being here. It's actually pretty safe. It's, you know, pretty fun if you care to explore. I think this is one of the better places that you could actually live. Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for having me.
And thank you for sharing your story. Yes, we have reached the end of the video. If you would like to view more content like this, then you have reached the end of this video, because you do not have a TikTok mind and you can watch long length content. Feel free to follow the Telegram group. I will share it in the description. Also, what pages can they find you on?
I'm on Instagram at Angelique Kimmy. I'm on VK at Angelique Jackson. That's it.
Alrighty, we will share her links in the description. Thank you so much for being here. And as always, we are rolling truths to preserve your pretty voice. Ciao.